All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar today. I'm Karen Taylor of the Color Vowel Chart and the Color Vowel Approach, as well as Blue Canoe. Jennifer Campion here in the room, here to answer questions that you may have as we talk today. If you're here, it's because you are a teacher of English and you're interested in something that you've heard about color vowel. If you have a particular interest or question, be sure to put that in the chat so that I know in advance what you're looking for and I can shape things around that, okay? We've been doing this for a while now, and we work with teachers from all over the world, teachers of students of all ages and all levels, as well as professional English all the way down to young learners learning English for the first time. So just know that we have something in store for you. And the more I know from you, the more I can cater today's presentation to your needs. All right, we'll go ahead and get started with, let me just take a moment here to share. There we go. I'm going to stop there. I'm not sure you can see what I want you to see. One second. We'll start the way I like. There we go. Everybody can see a title screen. Thumbs up. We've got you. Okay. We've got a few more people entering the room, so I'll just let them get settled in as we get started. All right. So once again, hello and welcome to Teach English Effectively with Color Vowel and Blue Canoe. I'm Karen Taylor. Today, we're going to be talking about the Color Vowel Approach. Color Vowel Approach is a set of brain-based strategies that we use to rewire the language brain. We focus on stress and vowel sounds, maybe as a priority over other aspects of spoken language, because they are what makes English mutually comprehensible. So we don't eliminate other aspects of English, but you'll see a high focus on stress and vowel sounds today. We've been doing this for over 20 years in development with our wonderful partners, reaching over 1 million users around the world. Our app, Blue Canoe, will figure highly in today's presentation. We work with organizations like the Washington Literacy Center, Peace Corps, Intercambio, and the US State Department. So we've been working with partners to make sure that what we do is highly relevant to your learners. Okay. When you hear Blue Canoe, that is our mobile app. It's a color vowel app with the methodology built right into it. We use voice recognition and artificial intelligence with color vowel feedback for the learner. This is an app designed for adult learners or young adult learners over the age of about 14, just to put that there from the beginning. But our color vowel methodology is relevant to learners of all ages. Okay. In the app, we provide pronunciation lessons, games, videos, quizzes, and a powerful color vowel dictionary that really taps into that notion of organizing how English sounds. That's a phrase you're going to hear me say often, and I'll usually say it slowly like that because I think it's profound. Before we go further, though, I think it's worthwhile to talk about whose English we're really teaching. Is it British English? Is it American English? Do we need those kinds of labels? What is your English? What is my English? Okay. The fact is that everyone has an accent, and each of our accents are influenced and shaped by the country we're from, where we live, and who we spend time with, as well as our age and a number of other factors. So there's no eliminating an accent. It's like trying to eliminate the way you look, and we can't do that either, nor would we want to. Instead, what we aim to do is figure out what it is that enables my accent to be comprehensible to you and yours to me in a conversation. So if we can find the elements of spoken English, as we have, if we can identify those and teach learners to focus on those elements, they can move forward with confidence, knowing that their English is comprehensible and they know how to go about understanding others when they speak English. So we're all about bridges. So what do English learners need? Well, I mean, we can talk about that on a number of levels, but today, with respect to spoken English, we'll talk about ways that they need to organize spoken English, something I've just mentioned, and we'll dive into in just a moment. They need routines to really practice the rhythm of English that makes them sound like an English speaker. And notice that I didn't say a native English speaker. Really, what I spend a lot of my time doing is looking at that division and blurring that line between what is a native or a non-native speaker. To me, that distinction is not important. What's important is being understood by one another for communication, for moving forward with our objectives, right? So these routines for practice is so important because learners so often are simply learning in a classroom and not truly practicing and in training and acquiring these important rhythms. And finally, I think learners need opportunities to be curious about English. If you find that your classroom is quieter than you want, meaning if you find that you have to do all the talking, this third point is especially important for you, that we can actually provide learners with a language to talk about language. And with that set of terms, they suddenly can ask a multitude of questions and they can notice new things about spoken English. So let's move in so you can learn more about each of these 3 points. Okay. Many of the world's languages have between 4 and 7 vowel sounds, while English has a lot more. So those 4 can vary, or those 5, but I'm going to show you 5 vowel sounds that are common to several of the world's major languages. These sounds are a, e, o, u. Take a moment in the chat if you recognize these as the vowels of a language that you know. A, e, o, and u. And I'd be curious to see what we see over there in the chat. And I'm watching, by the way. So what language has those 5 vowel sounds? Note that I'm talking about sounds and not letters. A, e, o, u. Definitely Spanish. Good. If you hear, and mine might not be perfect the way I've just said them, by the way, but something about like that. So yeah, Japanese has these same cardinal vowel sounds. A, e, o, u. Hindi, Russian, Malay, yes, Malayalam. Yes, so these are languages that often have these cardinal vowel sounds that are different from the vowel sounds of English. Just to give you an idea, yeah, so I see more of these, wonderful. When we have just 5 vowel sounds and we're learning a language with more, there's going to be a challenge in mastering and hearing those sounds at all to start with, okay? So let's learn the vowel sounds of English one by one. I'm going to model each sound and I'm going to use my hand. I'd like you to do the same, whether I can see you or not. Take your dominant hand and follow along with me in the same fashion. What we're doing with our hand is providing a way for our brain to notice something more than we would if we didn't use any kind of gesture. So it's a simple hand like this as you go along. Here we go. The first sound, green tea, E. Repeat. Green tea, E. Silver pin, I. Silver pin, I. Great. Gray day, A. Gray day, A. Red pepper, Red pepper, Black cat, Black cat, Olive sock, Olive sock, Auburn dog, Auburn dog, Turquoise toy, oi. Turquoise toy, oi. Orange door, or. Orange door, or. Rose boat, O. Rose boat, O. Wooden hook, Wooden hook, Blue moon, blue moon, ooh. A cup of mustard, ah. A cup of mustard, ah. Purple shirt, purple shirt, brown cow, ow. Brown cow, ow. White tie, I. White tie, I. Good. So these are the vowel sounds of North American English. If some of them sounded similar to the vowels of the languages that we've listed here in the chat, like French or Urdu or Spanish, then you know that you're hearing something similar, but they're not necessarily the same. And this is a trick of the brain, right? So we need to find ways to notice the difference between a similar vowel sound and a vowel sound of English. If you are a speaker of British English or a Commonwealth English outside the UK, but say Scottish English or Australian or New Zealand or any other number of Commonwealth Englishes, we have the same vowel systems with a couple of small differences, and we actually have a Commonwealth chart for you as well. So just know that as a teacher, you will be able to work with a chart that matches your accent, your dialect of English. But for today's purposes, we're going to focus in on this particular chart. This is the 5th edition North American chart, okay? And by and large, we're able to use this chart internationally. It just depends on the teacher and the way they perceive sound. So we work directly with you, okay? Wonderful. So we have these. Let's go ahead and test this out, because this is not about teaching vowels. This is about organizing spoken English, remember? So I'm going to give you a word, and I want you to try to organize it by the vowel sound that you hear in the stress syllable. The first word is Monday, Monday. And here, what I'll do is I'm going to add the chart itself behind, so you can see here. There we go. So that you can remember the phrases really easily today. But before you know it, you're going to be able to look at these symbols and know what they sound like. But for now, here's the chart, okay? So if I say Monday, 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 what phrase does it match in its sound most? For example, if it were green tea, it would be mean day, but it's not mean day, it's Monday. If it were red, it would be men day, but it's not. And so, yeah, Jenna has mentioned here, a cup of mustard Monday. Try that. A cup of mustard Monday. Great. How about Tuesday? Tuesday. 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 Take a look and listen as you say those phrases. Yeah, good, Rex. So we have blue moon Tuesday. And so we're pinning down this word by the way it sounds. Notice that this is really quite different from any other way of organizing words. Dictionary organization is by the letter, it's alphabetical from left to right. What we're doing is organizing by the stressed syllable of the word, the primary stress, okay? Wednesday, 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 Wednesday. Notice as you're thinking about it. Good, Rebecca. So we have Wednesday, red pepper Wednesday. Good, Maria. Well done. Thursday, Thursday. Notice that my hand, when I use my hand on Thursday, it's the same place that I would nod if I were being really emphatic. Thursday, right? Thursday. So it's something that we already are aware of in our physicality of language, but we may not think about it consciously. Thursday, Thursday, purple shirt, Thursday. Great. Another one, Friday, last one, Friday, Friday, Friday. If you've already answered, take a step back and let someone else go ahead and answer in there. Friday, find that phrase that matches. Friday, 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 Friday. If it were gray, let's take gray for a minute, Fatima. So if it were gray day, it would be Friday, Friday, but it's not quite, that's close, right? Evgenia. So let's try white tie Friday. You can hear that same sound in all three words. One more time, white tie Friday. Okay, wonderful. So the idea here is that we're able to take long words, short words, any word of English, and we're able to organize it by the way that it sounds. And this is revolutionary for learners because suddenly they can listen in English and break up the stream of speech in meaningful ways. Okay. We know from linguistics that English meaning is conveyed through these peak vowels, these stressed sounds that are being conveyed through time and the pitch of my voice and the way that it sounds emphasized or stressed. Okay, wonderful. So the color vowel chart here is in full form right in front of you. We can use it as a black line object or as a color object because it's not about looking at colors exactly. The magic of the color vowel chart is in its phrases. So if you're concerned about colorblind people, you have colorblind students, this is not a problem with the color vowel chart. Ironically, they're able to use it through the meaningful phrases that we have. We call these anchor phrases, and these become a touchstone for dialogue in the classroom, for questions that your students have, and the way that you teach. Okay. In Blue Canoe, we use these images that you've already been introduced to, and those are a way to trigger an understanding of how that word should sound. Okay, or one way that it could. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and see the color vowel chart in action. I'm going to stop share for a moment while I'm going to go ahead and reshare so you can get good audio on that. Okay, this is a clip of one of our teachers working with, this is a clip of one of our teachers working with a young learner, a Japanese speaker of English, and he's about to come across this word right here. Okay, and he's going to mispronounce it. Now, the beginning of the audio clip is a little bit quiet, but it'll become audible very shortly. But listen from the start how he says this word, and you'll then see how the teacher is able to make a guided correction, and he's able to self-correct without her actually saying the word. So here we go.
And she could hear the impatience in her voice downstairs.
Okay, what if I tell you that this word is gray day?
Gray day?
Mm-hmm.
Impatience.
Yeah.
She couldn't believe this many people were here to see her. She was a novice.
Which one?
Novice.
Okay, I'm going to tell you that it's an olive sock word. Olive sock.
Olive sock. Novice.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Most new performers never had this large of a crowd.
What's this word?
Crowd.
That word is brown cow.
Crowd.
Yep.
Great. And so you can see how Liz, the teacher, was able to make these quick corrections without actually saying the answer, right? The learner was able to make those changes on his own. This is something that we do in our instruction as well as in our dictionary and all of our materials. Notice the way the teacher was underlining those words was meaningful. She wasn't just emphasizing with her pencil. She was underlining the stressed vowel sound, as you see done here in these dictionary screen captures. So we've got olive, sock, novice, gray day, impatience, and go ahead and try it with me, brown, cow, crowd. And I just captured this for a moment so you could see what our dictionary entries look like. We have both a dictionary browser extension for all kinds of browsers, Chrome or Firefox, etc. But the full dictionary where you can look up a word is in our app. And you can listen to the sound and listen to the word with that idea of focusing on the stressed syllable. So it's really quite powerful. So spoken English is a stress-timed language, and this is something that native speakers take for granted. It's something that's sort of hardwired in us, but notice that we can't see it in the written word, and this can be quite confusing to learners. In fact, take a look at these three words and notice how just visually they look all three exactly the same all the way up to the P, right? And then after that, you've got, just an H or HIC or the ER at the end, right? So it's these two endings that visually look different. And if a learner were being logical, they might say, well, okay, I know this word, photograph. So I will say photographic and photographer. And yet that's not going to get them all the way to where they need to be in terms of speaking. There's another piece of information they need. They need to know where the stress is. So where's the stress in photograph? Photograph. Imagine yourself being emphatic, right? Photograph, photograph. If you use your hand or you use a gesture, you'll find it there in exactly, Maria. So we can underline it, okay? Photograph. What about the next word? Where's the stress? So is it photographic or photographic or photographic or photographic, right? We've got the graph, good job. So we've got photographic. And yet again, remember, this hasn't been marked for the learner in the real world. We don't mark stress the way maybe sometimes in Spanish we mark stress. If it's irregular, we have a little mark. In other languages, there's maybe more predictability about where the stress is, but English is a little unpredictable, okay? What about that last one? Is it photographer or photographer? The ta, exactly, Rebecca. So we got good, Rex, photographer. If you're able to locate that stress syllable and learn a word from the beginning as having that stress, you're going to be quite comprehensible. You might make some small mistakes in some of the consonants or maybe the other vowels, but when you have the stress syllable in place, it pins it down for what I like to call sort of an 80% rule, that it's already going to be quite comprehensible, and then you can make some adjustments. So photographer is stressed on that second syllable. Great. From there, so we've asked an essential question, which is where is the stress? And this is a question you will ask in your classroom when you're color vowel trained or when you use color vowel chart, is you ask, where's the stress? And you model that word. So you don't leave it to learners to just guess or pretend they should know. You model it. Photograph. And then they listen to it, photograph, and they identify location of stress. Then we can ask, what color is it? So now you can think back. Photograph. Think of a color that you've just learned, a vowel phrase there. Photograph is a rose boat word, okay? Photographic is a black cat word, black cat photographic. And photographer is not rose boat, it's not photographer, but rather photographer, olive sock, okay? For British speakers of English, we have a different vowel there for you. Don't you worry if it's not the same as ours, but we do have something for you, okay? So now what we've done with learners is given them this very powerful two-question approach. Where's the stress? What color is it? Now, remember, I told you that if your classroom is fairly quiet and you would like learners to be maybe more proactive, asking questions, these are the first questions they can ask about how language behaves in English. They'll say, where's the stress? And if they can't hear it from the way you model it, then you can show it. You say photographic, and they can immediately write it down in the way that we've taught them with that underline. So now they know exactly where the stress is. Organizing is extremely powerful. When you're stressing the correct syllable, it's so much more important than producing each sound correctly. And I say that because many learners come with that misunderstanding about English, believing that if I just pay enough attention to every sound, I will be understood. And that's sadly not the case, right? What they need to know is where that stress is, okay? So stress isn't just for words. I wanted to just show you briefly what it starts to look like at the phrase level. If we see a sentence like this, a learner could read it or imagine it being something like this. A fraction has a numerator and a denominator. Something that sounds kind of fast or slower. A fraction has a numerator and a denominator, right? If it's a language that they come from that doesn't have stress the way English does, they might say it that way. A fraction has a numerator and a denominator. So what can we do? First, we can start to organize phrases the way they behave into mini thought groups. A fraction has a numerator and a denominator. We then can ask, where is the stress on the important words? A fraction has a numerator and a denominator. You can try those with me with your hand, by the way. We then can organize by color. Black cat, fraction. Blue moon, numerator. Olive sock, denominator. A fraction has a numerator and a denominator. A, oo, ah. A fraction has a numerator and a denominator. So this is what we call, speaking in color, or allowing learners to listen in color, where they can listen to a classroom lecture or somebody talking to them and really start to focus in on the important words and the important syllables of those words, rather than trying to process every syllable they hear in a sentence. Okay. In Blue Canoe, we provide this kind of visual scaffold for their practice. So practice was the second point of my earlier talk about what they need. They need opportunities to practice, and not just at the word level, but at the phrase level. And so in Blue Canoe, they're able to listen, use their hand, and then record and receive feedback on those stressed words. And they start with prioritized feedback on the vowel, and then we go out in ripples, focusing on consonants as needed. What we're working with here is this notion of the brain that we now understand around language, which is that the language center of your brain is locked after a certain age. The older the child, the more rigid this part of the brain is. This is called Broca's area. Broca's area is responsible for first language, speech, and perception, otherwise known as listening. So as the child grows older, this becomes a more fixed part of the brain that perceives sound through that language and produces sound through the rules of that first language. So when learning a second language, we need to find ways to bypass Broca's area during the moment of the lesson and during practice. And so these parts of the brain are going to play an important role. When you don't engage those other parts of the brain, when you're only dealing with the red area, Broca's area, listening and repeating by itself, for example, learners come to us with these very predictable questions. It might not be exactly these word pairs, but if you've been teaching English for a while, you certainly have had students ask questions like this. And here we go. Let me see if I can move. There we go. I understand that you can't see all of my slides, so I'll try to move that a bit. Yeah. If you have other word pairs that have come up for you, I'd love to see those in the chat. Okay. But just say, for example, when students come and ask about sheep versus ship, and this is how many times have you modeled it or told them that they're different, and yet they still ask? This is because the Broca's part of the brain is perceiving those as the same. Okay. Pepper, pepper, pepper. Which one is it? Is it paper or pepper? Pepper, pepper. Well, all I'm doing there is using the Spanish e instead of a and e that we have in English. So pepper becomes this sound that it represents both words to the learner because it's the sound that they have in their language. Okay, so maybe these questions are trying to tell us something rather than simply being the question we need to answer every time. If there were a way to address all of these kinds of questions and move forward, wouldn't that be nice? What we're able to do is go back to the chart and see a sound like pepper, pepper. Here's that Spanish or Japanese or Urdu e, okay? If we don't make a distinction between paper, which is gray day, and pepper, which is red pepper, that e is going to take over, and suddenly the word is going to sound the same, pepper, okay? The same thing goes on here with sheep, sheep. Is it sheep or ship? All right, sheep, sheep. When our learners aren't able to move beyond the confines of their first vowel system for the first language, they're going to have these problems. But with the chart, we're able to suddenly break out. And so I'll have you just watch my mouse for a minute, come down to A, and watch my mouse. Go ahead and trace it with your finger. And we're just going to solve that one problem of, we could do it with, let's just see, let's do it with paper and pepper. Okay. So here's gray day, and take your finger over my mouse and we can say A, right? Do it again, A. And that's the gray day sound. That's actually going to be a moving sound, A, that comes up toward this area, A, okay? Whereas with red, pepper, we can come on the chart and find that this is a non-moving sound, one position, a little bit lower, So then we have paper and pepper. So with the chart, we're able to organize the mouth space. And I'm going to show you what that means, because that sounds kind of strange, I realize. But the chart itself is a map of the inside of the mouth from the side. Okay, so if we come down this way and you follow along with me, you can sort of turn the same way. So your mouth is headed that way. It starts with green, E. And as you drop the jaw, you'll start to notice all of these different sounds. E, and now we're down here in black. Okay, and if we go all the way around, yow, now we're here up in blue, ooh, ooh, why. In a way, what we're doing is simply taking the space that we all have in our mouth, regardless of first language. We all have the mechanics right here, but it's different software, if you will. This is the hardware, and this is the software for English, right? So we're learning to notice how we drop down and hear silver on the way. And when you're color vowel trained, I teach you how to convey this to your learners. But first, there's discovering it for ourselves, because this information is hidden from us as English speakers. Okay. So again, regardless of which English you speak or what your first language was, if you're a teacher of English, we have a lot to discover about what we already know how to do. And in discovering that as ourselves learners in a way, we're then going to be better teachers to convey how English behaves. Okay, great. Well, let me take a moment. I'm going to go back to our slide in a moment, but take a moment to organize. And I'm going to give you a couple more words now. So the words are now tough, tough, tough. And I'm going to go ahead and spotlight myself so you can see the chart a little more effectively. Okay, tough, tough. Any guesses as to what color that is? Yeah, Rebecca replied with cup. Exactly. So we can take that whole phrase, a cup of mustard tough. How about though? No, let's see, through. And I'm going to write tough there, by the way, just because these all look very similar. So the word is through. The first word was tough, and that was mustard. Okay, and now we have through. And what color is that? Yeah, blue moon. Good. So through, blue moon, through. Exactly. And I'll type it. As you can see, I'm typing it in all caps because we make a difference between the color word to talk about painting or art versus the color word of the sound, right? So that's a blue word, through. How about thought? Thought, thought. If it were mustard, it would be thut. But if we come down, thought. Yes, it can be an olive word for many of us. It could be an Auburn word for some, thought. Okay, thought, thought. And you'll learn more about how these two vowels relate to one another. Okay, so thought is an olive or an Auburn word. Okay, great. One more. How about though, like even though we tried, though, whoa, great. Evenia, so we have though, and that one is rose. So there are 4 words right there in the chat. They all look very similar, and yet they have different colors. So now we can just pin them down and know what color they are, and you can practice phrases around that that kind of a color. Okay, wonderful. Let's take a moment here to find where I'd like to take you next. So in Blue Canoe, we provide access to videos that teach learners and teachers about how the chart will help us discover these new sounds and produce these new and tricky sounds. Okay, so you don't have to remember everything. It's there for you as well. But what we're doing all the while is literally organizing. Like the original word organize conveys to a lot of us, getting your desk organized or organizing your house. And so we also organize in the color vowel approach, and this involves paper or a document that we can put digitally up, and it's called the Color Vowel Organizer. And I'd like to show you what that looks like, because this is what really takes it home for learners. They can go home with it or stay home and they're studying at home virtually online, but they can do this at home and come back to it after class and practice on their own, knowing that the way they're practicing is on target, right? So we can take those words like impatience, gray day. That next word was novice, right? Novice. Remember what color novice was? Novice. Yeah. Olive sock. Novice. Crowd. Remember crowd? The student had said crowed, and that sounded rose, but that wasn't quite right, right? Rose. No. Brown cow. Crowd. So with this very simple way of pinning these words down in an organizer, the learner can now go back and simply practice and sort of rewrite for himself. Brown cow, crowd, gray day, impatience, etc. Right? How about those TH words? Remember those? So we had through, blue moon through. How about tough? I think quickly somebody said it was mustard, right? Tough. How about thorough? A word I didn't give you before. Thorough. Some might say thorough. Lots of options here. The way that I'm saying it, and I'm going to go ahead and pin it down my way, but there's more than one right way. So thorough is one way to say this word. And if learners learn this way, that's okay. If they learn another way, that's okay too. Notice that while there might be many right answers, thorough, it's not a green word, right? It's not thero, and it's not thero. It's not a gray word either. So you can have several right answers. There are lots of good ways to speak, but there are some that if you use those other sounds, it simply isn't going to be that word anymore. So that's that notion of mutual comprehensibility. Will we understand each other? If so, it's right. Okay. Thought was that olive or auburn sound, thought or thought. Okay. And then remember our old standbys. We had the words photograph, photographer, and photographic, right? Remember where to put those? Photograph. We'll find that there in Rose Boat, photographer and photographic. Okay, so you can see how this organizer, which is it's a daily tool, it's something your learners should have out all the time, and is available on our website for free. So you can have it right now with a video on how to use it. But this is the workhorse. This is what our learners use and collect over time. It's their personal glossary, and it enables them to review and practice in ways that you also will teach them to do. Okay, so the notion of practicing pronunciation, I think in the past was kind of an empty homework assignment. It was the kind of thing where learners really didn't know what to do, and teachers knew that. And so we'd say, well, just go home and practice those words. Well, what does that mean, right? But what we're able to do now is provide you with meaningful ways to practice. And one of them is through flooding. Flooding is a way of reviewing where you simply go through the list and hear the vowel sound the same way in all of those words. So for example, rose, boat, though, photograph, rose, boat, though, photograph. We could then come down to olive, sock, novice, photographer, thought. Novice, photographer, thought. I can make a chant, novice, photographer, novice, photographer, novice, photographer, thought. So there are lots of ways we can create chants. We have a chants course where I teach you the formulas for creating on-the-fly chants that reinforce how a word sounds and the rhythmic behavior. Okay, great. So every word of English has a place on the chart. If you want to challenge me with a tricky word, go ahead and put that in the chat and we'll save that for a little later. So now we have this way of engaging the brain through the hand that I'm using here, the kinesthetic learning, the rhythmic chants that we teach you to use, and of course the colors and images of the chart itself. And in doing that, we have these micro moments. This is not vague generalizations about multimodal learning. These are specific moments in the learner's experience in the classroom with you or online where they're bypassing Broca's area for seconds at a time to come over and be musical, and it comes right back in. And we start to find that the learner is able to produce and perceive sounds that they weren't able to before. So it's very exciting stuff. Great. I wanted to give you just a little glimpse of that rhythm practice that I described earlier. And this is called Pure Practice. See if I can get everything clean for you. Pure Practice is a free event that we hold twice a month on Thursdays. Our next one is actually this Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, New York time. And you can go to our website to learn more, or Jennifer will provide you with a link. But this is now one of our teachers in Japan, and she's doing Pure Practice just to give you an idea of that rhythm.
Do what I do what I do, fast or slow, do what I do. Do what I do, what I do, what I do, do what I do, what I do, what I do. Great. Now that was just warm up. Are you ready to get started with Pure Practice? Wonderful. What do you? What do you?
What year?
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 What do you want?
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 What do you think?
What do you think?
What do you think?
What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?
Say.
What do you say? What do you say? What do you say? What do you say?
What do you want to do? 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 Your turn.
What do you want to do? 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 What do you want to do today? What do you want to do? What do you want to do today? What do you want to do? What do you want to do today? What do you want to do?
What do you?
So that just gives you an idea of how we take a single word and break out into phrase level rhythm to reinforce the way spoken English sounds. The particular way that it sounds can vary from person to person and region to region, but we have this common kind of rhythmic intuition that allows us to be mutually understood, and we aim for that. Okay. Moving along. Just about today, what you've done today is you've connected with us through our free webinar, and that's what we're doing right now. In addition, you now know about Pure Practice. That's a free event that we have for teachers and learners twice a month on Thursdays. We also provide a lot of support to our community through our free Friday webinars, and these are just community gatherings on a topic. So you can take a look for our resources there and sign up for future events. Okay. If you're interested in knowing more about what you've learned today with me, we know that learners find this extremely powerful. You will want to be equipped with Color Vowel, and there are three main ways to be equipped. We've got a digital teacher starter kit that we recommend for anybody who is outside of the US. I say that because our hard copy kits are wonderful to have. They provide you with all of the very useful, image cards that we use in the classroom, as well as the book and hard copy, and a poster like the one you see behind me. However, outside the United States, the shipping is so expensive that we just know we are not able to ship abroad because it's almost more expensive than anything we sell. Therefore, the digital teacher starter kit is very appropriate for anyone outside the US. The teacher starter kit here has the book, the poster, and image cards. And then the fully equipped classroom is when you know you really want to get started with all of our products. And that includes our foundation game, Color It Out, which I may have time to show you later. But if not, we have videos there in our shop for you to look at. Okay, so this is one way to get started with Color Vowel, is by simply reading about it and using it. However, we've found that teachers time and again want training. And so if you're interested in training, that's what we love to do. Okay. The Color Vowel journey is our training journey for you. And we have 4 essential phases. The first is the community member that you will be if you purchase one of our starter kits that I just showed you. In that case, you have access to our private community in Facebook. And that's simply a place where Color Vowel teachers come together to share ideas, ask questions, post new ideas, lessons, etc. Okay. Our level 1 training is the next logical step. And there I will show you a couple of options, including the FAST program that you see referred to here, and our complete program that is the entire level 1 experience. Okay. Level 2 allows you then to dig deeper and to really start to master leading chants and using the chart in this way that I call vowel yoga, where you can use your arm to actually guide a learner to produce new sounds. And then finally, we have training of trainer options in level 3. But let me spend a moment with you in level 1 and just show you that we do have these options for you. You're going to be learning how English is actually spoken, which is different from the way that we think that we speak or what we think we should do. In knowing that, you also learn how to introduce and use the color vowel chart. You will teach stress using these brain-based techniques, green T techniques. Okay. Also how to use that open hand and the organizer that I've just shown you. You'll get to see what color vowel instruction looks like in different classrooms, different ages and levels. And finally, how to integrate the Blue Canoe app into your instruction. When you study with us, you receive the Blue Canoe app for free as a teacher. Okay. Some options for training. We have 2 basic options for our level 1 training experience. One is the FAST course, and this is entirely asynchronous. It's perfect if you don't happen to have a time zone that is compatible with when we offer our classes. It's also a great way to get your feet wet if you know that your time is limited or if you simply want to know more before you go further. Okay, so the FAST course includes a copy of our book. You receive 90-minute video modules totaling 6 hours of study to know from beginning to end the basic skills. Okay. When you join our complete course, you're able to then take that experience off for a live training and discussion with me and our coaches. You're able to then do those techniques with us and receive feedback in our practicum, and that's only in the complete course. Okay. Everybody gets to explore Blue Canoe, the app. And when you've done the complete course, you receive access to our digital image kit so that you can teach with color vowels, include them in your handouts, and so forth. Okay. We do offer certification. So with the FAST course, you get a verification that you completed 6 hours of study. But to receive that level 1 certification, it's the full 12-hour complete program. If you're here representing a school today, you can talk with us about ways to create professional development packages for you, customized to your teacher's needs and your learner's needs. For our basics course today, we're offering a coupon that provides you with a discount. So take out your phone so you can take a picture in a moment or write this down. But when you go to individual registration, which is right now $249, you can enter this code CV webinar save, okay, to save, and it will give you a discount. Now I'm going to say another thing here. In addition to entering that code, know that our prices will be going up on January 1st to adjust for some of the changes in prices, in costs that we've had to incur. So now is the time to sign up for any course, regardless of whether it's now or in 2022. You can take the price that's available now with this discount. Okay. So that's for you, CV webinar save. Okay. With Blue Canoe, just know that we'll always be helping you get on board, and your students too. We are a language training company. We work with teachers, but we also are a technology training company. So if you feel apprehensive about how things have been going online, know that anything we do, we're basically modeling and teaching you to stretch your tech skills. And that includes with the use of Blue Canoe and how to use that with your learners. Okay. I want to thank you for being here today, and we're available for questions at this time. And Jennifer, if you have any questions that people have asked, I'd love to hear those too. Okay.
Not so far.
watching. Yeah. Okay. So any questions about our program or about language, about how words behave, a pronunciation question, or your learners in particular? I'm happy to take those questions now, and you can just open the mic if you'd like to ask. If not, we have yeah, go ahead.
Hi.
Hi, Rick.
Can you talk a little bit about the applications of this for adult learners?
Absolutely. So, my background is specifically in adult ESL, immigrant ESL in the US. What we've found is that pronunciation is often simply not taught. There's not enough time for it, or teachers don't have the confidence to teach it and feel like I don't know how to do it well, or that learners come with so much already on their plate that the teachers think, well, am I going to introduce phonetic symbols? Like that seems not quite on target. So the chart is this way to light up the adult learner's experience. We work with their words. So I put a heavy emphasis on, and this is true of all learners, they thrive when you work with the words they need and the words that they want and are interested in. Okay. So let's say in adult education, we often work in life skill topics like getting a job or going to the doctor or so forth. In our book, we provide a lot of support for adult ed, in particular by breaking those topics into a glossary for you so that you're already ready to organize. So these are the life skills topics, and here are the colors down the side so that you know in advance what their organizers might look like for a given topic, right? But essentially what they're able to do is carry these skills across their language class that they're in. So if they're studying, how to get a job, all of this is woven into the curriculum, and they're able to, practice with these multimodal skills and really absorb it into their language, not just know it here, but to do it. Okay.
How about accent modification for highly functioning students who already have a good command, but they're just concerned about their accent?
Sure. This is extremely relevant to that. And we've got a lot of pronunciation coaches who will take a word, that is tricky for the learner at that moment and make an adjustment. So if they're saying, photographer, you're like photo, I'm hearing rose, photographer. So it's a lot about, making these small adjustments to words and phrases and the overall rhythm of English that helps that learner sound more like an English speaker. And that's what we refer to as accent modification.
Karen, can I add something?
Sure.
I don't know if one of Rex's concerns is that it's so colorful, and some people look at it and they think, oh, this is a primary school object, but adults really thrive on this whole method and approach. And I taught a course called Accent Reduction at our community college. And this was the foundation and enabled us to talk about thought groups, focus words, intonation, linking, all of these things. Once they have a knowledge of the chart, you have a mutual language to talk about all of these other skills.
Yeah, in fact, I developed the chart in 1999 at the University of Maryland with international scientists who needed to work on their pronunciation to be understood as lecturers. And So it was a way to override the urge to work with phonetic symbols that had them looking down in their books and transcribing things sort of
Yeah.
methodically that didn't actually have an impact on their speech. And so that's where it came from. Then in about right after 9/11, we a lot of us left University of Maryland because all the visas changed, and I ended up in adult ed and low literacy adult ed, and found that the chart was very accessible to
Yeah, I
low.
can see that there.
Yeah. And then by the way, I tested it then with, in my next journey as a mother, I tested it with my children and all of their classmates in a grade 3, age 3-4 classroom. And since then have worked in a lot of elementary schools and middle schools. So we found that it's accessible to all, and it provides learners and their parents with a common touchstone. Other
Okay,
questions?
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Priya and Jenna have questions, Karen.
Hi, Priya.
Hi. So my question is, I teach young learners in India, and they're all bilingual. So the thing is, because they're young learners with the sound chart, there's a chance that they could actually, spelling could be something that they can make errors with, because phonetically it sounds correct. It's all about spoken language, and a lot of them, because they come from backgrounds where English isn't their first language, this is the first time they're being exposed to the language. So that was my thing, is how do we make the connection between spelling and pronunciation?
Wonderful. It's a wonderful question. We take an oral approach primarily. And then as those organizers, those written organizers, as those start to build up, and for younger learners, by the way, that organizer is not going to look like that. It's going to be a word wall, right? Or it's going to be a poster. So, you'll take that organizer as a concept that you're going to shape into an age appropriate format. Okay. But as they start organizing words orally, then we have time to explore the spelling. And it's actually called spelling exploration. So essentially, I think what I can do, I can kind of demo that for you briefly. Let me just grab my little document camera here. I'm going to show you some cards from a game the game that I showed you briefly called Color It Out. It's embedded in our app, and it's also a card game. And so here, for example, let me just grab that screen share for you. I've just basically placed a lot of cards out on my table for you to see, okay? And it's a game that can be played as a handheld card game, but right now I'm just laying them out for you, okay? What we can do is we can start to say, oh, let's organize these, huh? Let's take our blue words, for example, and I can see that I've got a couple of, some different spelling patterns here. We've got OU, we've got OE, we've got just U, and you've got U. If we had a lot of blue words, in fact, if I moved these other words away, we were going to play a little bit, but I can do this, right? I can start to look at all of the blue words that we have, and you can do this with the words they've collected in their organizer. So there's June, meaning we can start to sort of be curious, right? And this is that idea of helping students be curious by providing them with opportunities to do that. So now we can put the U's here. We're kind of exploring. That's what we're doing. I'm putting this, see how now suddenly we have 4 spelling patterns, right? And this kind of I don't know, I think it's fairly intriguing. I've seen learners really light up like, what's going to happen next? Let's take the word beautiful. Ooh, beautiful, and see what happens with beautiful. And so far we have another, this is another pattern, right? Lord, canoe, there's another pattern. But we will sooner or later start to see that while there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 patterns that can be blue.
Canoe goes with shoe, Karen. Canoe goes with shoe.
Oh, there we go. Canoe with shoe. Thank you. Thank you. There we go. So we start to organize in this way that's very organic, and that has a kind of suspense to it. Would you agree? Which one is the most common spelling pattern? Now, you already have intuition about which spelling patterns are the most common, but you might be surprised by what comes out. Here is just the letter O, which is separate. and so forth. And so we actually have an organizer for the spelling exploration where you and your learners end up seeing as almost a bar graph which ones of these patterns are the most common. And even the youngest learners can create such a bar graph. So I'll see if I can, find an example for you shortly. But that's something that we cover in our level 2 course. And we start you off with a full section in the color vowel approach on spelling exploration. So it's just that, like, yes, there are many ways to spell this sound. Let's go ahead and figure something out. Are there any patterns? Are there frequencies? And it allows the learners to be the ones who are excited and interested rather than the teacher who is, okay, now we're going to spell these words and now these other words. Yeah, it can get kind of old. Thank you, Priya. Yeah, there was one more question. No?
Jenna had the same question, she said.
Oh, the same question about spelling. Okay, well, we can finish up with just knowing that we are eager to see you. We have our next Color Vowel Basics Complete course starting up on November. Is that the 2nd, Jennifer? Or is that something in there? It's starting up in November.
I'm sorry, I was typing. Say again.
Oh. That's okay. Our next course starts up pretty soon in November.
Yes, and I put the link in chat if anybody's interested in registering for November. And I also put the link for January's class. If you go to our training page on our website, I believe even the February cohort is there. And we try to offer different times. So if one is in the evening, East Coast time, and that's not convenient for you, look at one of the other months, because we do try to switch it up days of the week. We try to switch up, between mornings, evenings, afternoons. So you can do that.
And Rex, yes, I can. I can go ahead and refund you that discount. Okay, that's no problem. Thank you, everybody. I want to thank you for being here. We are available to you at colorvowel.com. Any message you send through the website comes straight to Jennifer and myself. Okay, thanks again. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.